Whoever you are, we welcome you. Wherever you come from, we welcome you. Whomever you love, we welcome you. Whoever you are, we welcome you. Wherever you come from, we welcome you. Whomever you love, we welcome you. Whoever you are, we welcome you. Wherever you come from, we welcome you. Whomever you love, we welcome you. Whoever you are, we welcome you. Wherever you come from, we welcome you. Whomever you love, we welcome you. Whomever you love, we welcome you.
Good morning. My name is Rachel Quinn. My pronouns are she and her. I am a member of the Worship and Music Committee, and I am your worship associate this morning. I am delighted to welcome you here, whether you are visiting this morning or a regular member. Please check with the greeter if you have any questions. Today, we acknowledge that we are located in a place that was once the Wampanoag village of Patuxet. We strive to follow their example and be faithful stewards of this sacred land. Our service today is presented by Glenn King and Amy Palmer. Our live music is offered by Emily Browder-Melville, music director, and Time for All Ages is led by Deb Keller-Wood, director of spiritual development. Because our services vary from week to week, we suggest you visit us again to experience the variety of worship we offer. We invite you to join us for fellowship and refreshments in the parish house just up the hill after the service. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever you believe, wherever you are in your spiritual journey, let us walk together this hour.
Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come.
Please join us.
Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Ours is no yet again come.
Despair.
Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come.
Despair. Come, yet again come. Our call to worship this morning is this house. This house, it's a, oh, I forgot it was a call. So it's number 444. It's a call and response. It's a call and response, yes. Number 444. This house is for the ingathering of nature and human nature.
It is our house that furnishes a haven in trouble
It is a house of freedom, guarding the dignity and worth of every person. It is a house of truth-seeking, where scientists can encourage devotion to their quest, where mystics can abide in a community of searchers. It is a house of prophecy, outrunning times past and times present in visions of growth and progress.
So our first hymn you'll find on a sheet that you should have. It's called Turning of the World. This is 4 verses, and each verse has just a different substitution. You see them at the bottom. First one is turning, healing, loving, and dreaming. And where you see the circles, that's where you insert the substitution. All right.
With every voice Hello, friends. My name is Amy Palmer, and I am the chair of the FinCom. Other members of our Finance Committee are Bob Vinson, Sibel Karshner, Diane Stillman, and our trustee treasurer, Glenn King. For some, finance can be a boring topic. I do not know anyone who actively seeks out a church because they heard their Finance Committee is interesting and exciting. The finance might not be, but I have to say that our committee is really fun. So today's service is our annual pledge drive kickoff. As you use, our congregation is solely responsible for our finances. We are independent in raising the funds, budgeting, and spending. In your pledge brochure that you'll receive in a packet today, there are graphs showing values of our income and our spending. Over the next few months, the Finance Committee will be determining our budget based on estimated costs of the congregation, so everything from staff salaries, utilities, and insurance, all the way down to how much hospitality might need for coffee hour and everything in between. And as there was last year, the Finance Committee will have several discussions for the congregation to weigh in on their ideas and priorities. That draft budget goes to the Parish Committee for additional discussion and approval. And finally, through a democratic process, the congregation votes on the final budget at our annual meeting in June. And it all starts here with the pledge drive. This is how we determine about how much income our members will be providing through the next fiscal year for the expenses that we can plan for, some known like salaries, some unknown like surprise repairs to the parish house. Our pledge drive is about a month long when our pledge drive captains reach out to members to actively engage us in conversations about the congregation and our community. Although the pledging is a very important part of the pledge drive, these conversations are also very important. We all want to make First Parish the best it can be, but without conversations, leadership may not know what that looks like to each one of you, like our members and our friends. Listening to everyone, hearing everyone, and working together to get that vision in place is what First Parish serves to do. So during our pledge month, we think about what First Parish means to us and our commitment to First Parish, physically, emotionally, and financially. During today's service, we will hear from several members about their experiences here at First Parish, and we'll do some introspective thoughts. I hope you enjoy it. First, we will have Bethany Simmons come and, yes. Oh, sorry, Jan. Can we have a chalice lighting?
Okay, join in the chalice lighting, which is printed in the order of worship. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is law. It is the very covenant to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in freedom, to speak the truth in love, and to help one another. Thank you, Jane.
Thank you. So our first personal reflection will be Bethany Simmons. Simons.
That's not all of them. It's okay. It happens. I've been called Simmons all my life. Okay. Hi. So, my mother died 5 years and 17 days ago. Listen, I know 2020 was challenging for everyone, and I'm not trying to say that my suffering was more remarkable than anyone else's. 2020 permanently shifted the very foundation of my life, from my mother's death to COVID, to my father's double-footed leap into his alcoholism, to the death of my niece, to an intensely unpleasant experience with DCF, which I had to fight legally to overturn and won, to the culmination of that year's shenanigans with my husband leaving the day after Thanksgiving. That year has forever, and in incomprehensible ways, skewed everything I thought I knew. 2021 arrived and turned to 2020 and said, hold my drink, watch this. from an epic and unbelievably expensive and traumatic legal battle whose very function was to prove my instability, to the first anniversaries of all things related to my mother, and the unending grief that continues to circle around and around. You see, the final stage of the grief cycle is acceptance. But reaching that stage doesn't mean the grief goes away. You just live with it differently. It becomes integrated into your psyche and provides a decent amount of perspective and a moderate amount of disconnection to the extremes you once understood. 2022, in all its glory, joined the party of let's see how far we can push Bethany to see if the instability is really going to take her down. And finally, into 2023, I was finally able to sign divorce papers. My lawyer says that when papers are signed, no one gets what they want, but the compromises get the job done. I'm still not sure the compromises I made to get it done were, in fact, worth compromising on, given that even when the papers are signed, it doesn't actually mean you're free, especially if there are kids involved. 2024 brought a bit more fun and legal expense when I proactively sought full custody of my children due to some very expectable behavior, and my motherly devotion to my children's safety and well-being. And here I am, a somewhat more traumatized version of myself, but ultimately better and stronger. I hate the word resilient. It implies that you've been through some things. I've found love in this community, in friends who bring soup supplies and a bouquet of tulips when I am sick, and support in friends who will bring food to the ER and pick up the kid that's still at home so I can transport and stay with the one needing an overnight in the hospital, with no questions or expectations or demands for anything other than a concerned hug from one mom to another when a kid is struggling in some way. I have found alignment in friends who will meet me on the fly and share their knowledge, and connections in the world of social action to support my efforts to protect undocumented children and families in our school district. I'm meeting with the superintendent on Monday. I have found a soft place to land that is safe for me and my children in an impromptu Chinese lunch and game of Uno on a Sunday afternoon. I have found neighbors, friends, and connections for myself and my kids that foster the best in us in small gifts brought from faraway places that offer a symbol of strength and protection. I've found forgiveness when I make mistakes and do things that are out of alignment with my best self, without blame, without shame, but with a gentle redirection and some humor back to myself. I found acceptance, love, connection, a deepening of my spiritual self, and a place into which I can pour myself into alignment, authenticity, and the wholeness of my being. I have found stability in an unpleasant world, in an unstable world is what I meant to say. Most of these examples are just examples from the last month. I have so many more. I have found my resilience and my power. I have found my voice in a place where I can sing again. I have embraced it, and I will move mountains to be able to continue to sing with and for you all. For these reasons, I signed our membership book and pledged myself physically, mentally, and financially to continuing.
And then our next testimonial will be from Irene Ray. No, I'm sorry. Abigail Batom. I know, I apologize, everybody. Thank you.
Bethany, thank you for that. That was really. My name is Abigail Batom, and I've been a member of First Parish for about 5 years. I began attending services when I first arrived in Plymouth in October 2019, not long before COVID. I was blessed to have made connections with members of the congregation and with Reverend Art before we were no longer able to meet together. In fact, I had surgery, hip surgery, 2 weeks after I moved in. I had been here, and Art came to my house to visit when I was recuperating. Those early morning meditation sessions helped to sustain me during COVID. Some of you were involved with those. Before moving here, I was a member of First Religious Society in Newburyport for about 15 years. The UU Church, and First Parish in particular, have provided a place for me to grow spiritually, to feel part of a supportive community, and to make lasting friendships. I've been involved in First Parish in a number of ways, but would like to address one involvement that has provided good work and fellowship: the Social Action Committee. I joined SAC shortly after Rick McDonald became chair, or I should say co-chair with Donna Petrangelo. From the first meeting, I was welcomed and encouraged to participate fully in the work of the committee. As both a volunteer and professional, I have been involved in many committees of all sorts in my life, but I don't think I have ever experienced the level of commitment, hard work, fellowship, and just plain fun that I find being part of SAC. I'm not going to describe the long list of activities and tasks that our committee has engaged in over the past few years. You can find these on our bulletin board, which is just outside. It's over in the parish house, or in the weekly online newsletter. What I would like to address here is how grateful I am to be part of a religious community that works consciously and with purpose for social justice, especially in this scary and difficult time in which we find ourselves. Our committee sometimes worries that we're overextended, but good Lord, there's so much to do, so many needs, so much hurt. We make a good effort to focus our efforts on local issues and concerns, but at times we feel compelled to extend our reach, as for example, our months-long postcard writing effort during the election. And thank you to so many of you who participated, many more members in the Social Action Committee, a lot of members of the church, and actually some community members as well. In the coming weeks, we will be continuing this work. Sometimes our work can seem overwhelming, the tasks too onerous or futile. But when I'm about to despair, I try to hold faith in Martin Luther King's words, "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice." Part of what sustains and encourages me, and perhaps my colleagues as well, is the support and affirmation we receive from First Parish. The knowledge that we are part of a community of people here who support and encourage the work we do. Work, it's not all work at First Parish. There's also time for fun and fellowship. The auction is one of my favorite activities. Both the event itself, will we once again be able to sip beer at Mayflower Brewery? It looks like Mayflower may be surviving. And the items that we bid on, just let me cite two. A memorable day visiting New Bedford with native daughter Deb Marshall Hewitt, and if she offers that again and you haven't done it, I highly recommend it. And trips back to my old haunts on the North Shore with Chris Lennon, especially his beloved Gloucester. I would be remiss if I didn't mention sermons. It was the preaching of Harold Babcock that first drew me to the UU Church up in Newburyport, and now I consider Reverend Art's sermons to be a central part of my Sunday morning worship experience. When I joined First Religious Society in Newburyport, one of the first things I learned was that within the UU Church, each congregation is responsible for the financial well-being of their church. And Amy mentioned that this morning. I understood then and continue to know that if I was to be a member, it was essential for me to commit not only work and wisdom, but wealth also. My professional background includes fundraising and development. As executive director of a small nonprofit, as director of development for a small college, and various development activities for other nonprofits where I worked or volunteered, I know how challenging it is to fundraise, and I also know how difficult it is to ask folks for money. So this morning, my task as we kick off the pledge drive is to share how important First Parish has been and is in my life. In closing, what I will ask of you today is to consider what First Parish means for your life and how you can help to sustain this remarkable community into the future.
The weight of a snowflake. On a cold, clear night, when the moon shone down, melting into a river of light upon the crystalline ground, setting fire to each individual snowflake in its path, a tiny titmouse landed next to a dove on a bare tree branch. "Tell me the weight of a snowflake," the titmouse asked the dove. "Nothing more than nothing," responded the dove. "In that case, I must tell you a marvelous story," the titmouse said. I sat on a branch of a fir close to its trunk when it began to snow. Not heavily, not in a raging blizzard, no, just like in a dream, without any violence. Since I didn't have anything better to do, I counted the snowflakes settling on the twigs and needles of my branch. Their number was exactly 3,741,952. When the next snowflake dropped on the branch, weighing nothing more than nothing, as you say, crack! The branch broke off. Having said that, the titmouse flew away. The dove, having been since Noah's time the authority on the matter, thought about the story for a while and finally said to herself, "Perhaps there is only one person's voice lacking for peace to come to the world." I invite you now to take your copy of the hymn, Turning of the World, and, hopefully you got a pencil, write on the back what First Parish means to you and the community. But also perhaps tell what you dream that just one extra dollar or two or 100, or 1,000 maybe, could bring to First Parish. Emily will play on the piano to give you some time to write your thoughts down, and later on, as the financial offering is being collected, I'll collect your thoughts, and if we have time, we'll share some of them. If not, we'll put them in the e-blast. Professor?
Our third reflection will be read by Irene Ray. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Irene Ray. My pronouns are she and her, which I've messed up previously for no good reason. I think I'm pronoun dyslexic. If you've known me for like a minute, you likely know I moved here from the Pacific Northwest. And I say the Pacific Northwest because if I tell you I'm from Portland, Oregon, no matter how loudly I say Oregon, my experience is that you will have heard Portland, Maine. Nope, other Portland. And it's pronounced Portland, Oregon, by the way. Oregon, like Jim. Anyway. So at first, Plymouth was kind of a hard place for me to get to know people. People and their families have been here a long time. They tend to have relationships with others that go way back a long time, whereas Portland is more of a cafe culture, and people tend to invite others along on errand trips. So lots of time is spent just driving around, going to Walmart, going to CVS, whatever, and then always meeting up for coffee and or a beer. It's also kind of nerd central, which worked really well for me. So a lot of time is spent going to Comic-Cons, getting ready to go to Comic-Cons, planning what to do at Comic-Cons, and what to wear at Comic-Cons, and so on. So add the nerd culture to the cafe culture, and it was pretty easy for me to make connections. The main downtown UU church there is huge and was within walking distance of my apartment. When I attended that congregation, they had about 2,000 people, I think. They have a place a lot like Kindle Hall, and each committee or group has tables set up during coffee hour, so you can just chat with everybody. I also have a very large extended family there. 3 other kids, multiple grandkids, siblings, nieces, nephews, cousins galore, and a lovely new great-granddaughter. So, how I got here. My oldest daughter moved here to go to school and met her amazing future husband. Then one day my other daughter showed up on my porch with her cat, said she broke up with her boyfriend, she decided she didn't like her job, and that she really missed her sister. So she left. Then when I retired, a few years later, they convinced me that I needed to move here too. My first year here was actually pretty lonely, but I had my dog and cat. I was very busy with my little house I'd bought up on Billington Street, and shortly after I got here, my daughter announced that she was expecting. So thus began my new career, grandma daycare. So I was busy, but I wanted to make friends beyond my family. And it occurred to me that the place I was most likely to meet like-minded people was the UU church just down the street. So one morning I showed up here. The first thing I attended beyond Sunday services was what I remember as a welcome picnic for art at the Brewsters, and that's where I met Jen and Cheryl and Sandy Hammond. I'd been a bass player, so chatted with Sandy about music and ended up joining the choir, later helped out with audio, and slowly started getting to know people. Fast forward a bit, and this pretty fiddly thing happened. The planet shut down and everybody went home. Unfortunately, the Zoom app, the app itself, something about the refresh rate, gives me migraines, and so once again, I was isolated. I tried to keep up, but mostly just drifted off into pandemic land on my own. Then we had 3 weeks where we were no longer wearing masks in the store. I made 1 trip to TJ Maxx, 2 trips to Market Basket, came back to church, and had my annual mammogram. And as many of you know, that did not go as well as expected. So one morning right there, Sandy and I made a joint announcement in this room. She was having very major surgery, and I had been diagnosed with early stage breast cancer. Since COVID was still kind of an issue, and I was about to become really immune compromised, it was back to full isolation for me. I really had no idea what I was in for, and I'm pretty glad I didn't know But the people here who had been through it sought me out and shared their experiences, which really helped me to not feel alone. I was completely overwhelmed and absolutely terrified. Honestly, I went a little crazy. Sandy helped me set up a meal train account for rides I was going to need, and I was absolutely sure it was way too big of an inconvenience for people. I thought, no one is going to sign up, and I was completely wrong. I had 20 rounds of chemo. I was in radiation daily for a month and had so many appointments, like for saline or x-rays or whatever. All of those appointments, the incredible fellowship of this service took me to, except maybe one or two, I think. People would show up at my house, take me over to Beth Israel, come and get me after my treatments, and make sure I got back home and in the house safely. Others sent me cards, brought me food, called, and just checked in with me. People came over and went on little walks with me. Julia was working at the gift shop at the hospital, and I would stop in and say hi to her on my way in. That is fellowship. That is community. Those car rides were so good for me. Just chatting about the weather or family or coming into town or shopping or TV shows really helped me to feel normal when I was so sick, bald, covered in weird rashes, and had lost all my fingernails. Not only did they help me, and this I can't stress enough, it helped my family to be so relieved because they knew you guys were taking care of me. Then last year, I got sick again from something completely different. It turned out, after months of feeling absolutely terrible, that I had had a bad reaction to the contrast dye in what was a normal CT scan, and it set my thyroid on full fire hose. The thing again that pulled me through was this church. I could come here and stay for a whole service or not, or just sit quietly with people who didn't ask me to do anything. They just let me be. I was so grateful during that time, especially for Friday Night Fellowship. If you haven't come to Friday Night Fellowship, it is absolutely the best. When I only felt good enough to kind of brush my hair and sit next to friends at some random event, like one night I think we went and saw a slideshow on fish. It kept my mind occupied, and it was life itself. Excuse me, I should have brought up a Kleenex. I should know by now. This is why I support this place financially and pledge part of my retirement income every month. I want to give back what was given to me and know that it will be paid forward to others. I want this place to be here for someone else like it was for me. The care that you all gave me changed my life, opened my heart, and made me a better person. My pets have since passed on. My house, I sold it to someone else, but First Parish Plymouth is still here. So I invite those of you who are considering pledging to think about what this community means to you and how you would feel if for some reason it wasn't here anymore. So please join me in making sure that doesn't happen. Thank you.
But just getting back to our pledge, can our current pledge drive captains stand up that are here? We have Jan, Vaughn, Eric, Linda, Irene, Julia, Glenn, and then I know Diane Stillman, Bob Vincent are not here, and then myself. So here are our pledge captains. So if you are an active member, one of these captains will be reaching out to you within the next couple of weeks about the pledge drive. Although we know it's easy to just say, put me down for whatever I put in last year, I encourage you to take a little time to talk with your captain about what's important for you at First Parish, what we do well, what we could improve on, and and also I would like you to consider adding just a little bit more to what you pledged last year. We have some big decisions to make and a huge transition in our next year, and every penny helps. So, the next hymn will be singing 121, We'll Build a Land.
And on the chorus of We'll Build the Land, it's written, Come build the land, our sisters and brothers, and we like to sing, Come build the land, we're all of the people. So please rise in body and spirit. Number 121.